Hey guys, it is draft days. We're on the third day of the draft. We're recording this episode so we could get you guys up to date on day one of the draft because, there's definitely some fantasy relevant stuff. I am Justin, and as always, I'm joined by Perry.
And Justin, do you have a Band-Aid?
I think so.
Okay, good, because I just scraped my knee falling for you.
Ah, oh,
Yeah, there's lots of fantasy relevant news just from round one.
and
So
then some stuff that might not even be fantasy relevant, but it's just
it's
fun.
relevant.
Yeah, it's just
Relevant.
fun. Unless you're a Packer fan. Uh,
Packer fans are
sorry.
having the least amount of fun right now.
Yeah, they're the only ones right now hoping the NFL season doesn't happen.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, so lots to talk about just with the first round. So we're just gonna cover the first round today, and then in a day or two, Justin and I will
We
record
got
another episode covering
special
some
little
of the later
bonus treat
rounds.
for you
Yeah,
guys.
we're gonna do quite a bit of content regarding this draft. There's just lots to talk about. There hasn't been a lot to talk about until now. We've been waiting for this moment, so it's pretty exciting. Yeah, ready to unload here.
Yeah, I love the light hitting your jersey. It's like glowing. It's magnificent. It like
Do you know
I'm so ready
whose
for
jersey this
football.
is?
No, all I could see is Broncos and
What?
like
You can't tell that that's an 8 and that's a 7?
no, I could tell it was an 8. I thought maybe an 8 and a 5.
Do you know who it is now?
uh yes. I can't remember his name though. He was the wide receiver when you guys won the Super Bowl. I know that.
Won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's Ed McCaffrey. It's actually Christian McCaffrey's dad. And this jersey was worn in game. In game
By you
by
or
Ed
him?
McCaffrey.
That's even better.
It's pretty cool.
That's even
Pretty cool.
better. I mean, it would have been cool if you were wearing it like during the game,
Yeah.
but it,
Well,
it
I've worn it while games were being played, but I wasn't in them.
okay. So yeah, now it's twice as good.
Are we recording?
What? Oh, we are. this
uh
this is a show.
yeah, this is a show.
But yeah, so obviously the news is the draft, so we won't be going over news because that's kind of the whole episode. But before we get into this draft, we do have some news no one cares about. Obviously, draft related as well. So I'm just gonna get us straight into that news no one cares about.
Right on.
All right, guys. So I don't know who is watching the draft. I hope all of you, because it is the only sporting events we have going on. But everyone was worried about all these tech issues. You know, like if people would have tech issues. There's a lot. The first pick was a little bit delayed just because they did have some at the beginning, but then it went relatively smoothly until Bill O'Brien's pick. Shocking. First of all, they all have cameras there that the NFL just moves into their living room, with the camera in their living room at some point. On Bill O'Brien's pick, they go to it and he's like freaking out because he can't figure out how to get his computer to work, and then he like throws his hands up in there and points over at the phone and then just walks away. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh, it's so funny.
Way to kill it, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he just found out what he traded for in that.
Yeah. He's just like, we don't have Hopkins anymore? What are you talking about?
I thought that was just pretend.
Why didn't anybody send me a memo? My beeper is right here. You could have beeped me.
Oh, and another coach we love to talk about, Gruden. Gruden. This is day 2, but I'm going to cover it anyway. Gruden, when they were making their pick, the camera comes into their room. And a lot of these younger coaches, probably a little more tech savvy and have their big boards, of the players they want on their computer in a spot where you can't see it.
Uh-huh.
Not John Gruden, though. He has a whiteboard right behind him with all the names on it that he's looking to target.
I was like watching that and I was like, I could just pause it and look at what he wants.
And every other GM in the world could too.
Just a massive brain on that man. Just a massive brain on that
But
man.
I mean, to his benefit, they probably don't want the players he wants anyway. He did go wide receiver. Oh man, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
sorry. And then CD Lamb, when he got drafted, shocker to everyone, CD Lamb did get drafted. If you didn't see the draft, CD Lamb, when he got drafted, he is talking on his mom's phone that they called him on, and then his girlfriend went to grab his phone off his lap, and he like snatched it back from her.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was like, "Don't ruin this day for me."
You don't need to know what's going on in that phone.
And then this is the best one. I had saved the best for last. The Titans. This. Oh my God, the whole visual of the Titans. There's three aspects to this.
Aspect one,
you have the Tiger King standing behind him. Some weird looking dude with a blonde mullet just standing behind him with his arms crossed. So confusing why that person was there, standing there looking way too serious. Then to the other side, which just made that even more weird, was a dude in a spandex, like full body, like Titan colored suit, like just a little onesie, full body spandex.
Mike Vrabel clearly knows something that we don't.
Yeah, also looking way too serious to be wearing that.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to know what Mike Vrabel knows, but he clearly knows something that I don't.
And I'm moving right to left as the visual goes. And then furthest to the left, there is a mirror. Ordinary enough, except in the mirror, you could see someone taking a dump. Like, why are they taking a dump? Why is the door open? How did you not notice any of this?
Okay, so he's taking a dump because everybody poops. There's a book, you should read it. The door was open because he clearly needed to talk to everybody to help make the pick.
It was his son.
And number three, everybody knew, so it wasn't like nobody noticed, all right? Everybody knew it was happening, but everybody was cool with it, all right? Because everybody poops, Justin.
The dude in the spandex did not look cool with it. I'm starting to think that might be why they look so serious. Like,
well, he was closest to the bathroom and he could smell it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my biggest problem. That
he's
at least turn the fan on.
He had a look of, I know why this needs to happen, but I don't know why I have to be the closest to the door.
Or why I have to be here at all wearing this.
No, I don't know, He might need it. I mean, they might. He needed to be there. Let's just.
I mean, day 2, none of them were there. I feel like the NFL called him and was like, "Knock it off, just knock it off."
Did you see the commish trying to look casual in his like leather chair when he's sitting down like reading the pick? Like one time they like had him like, why don't you go sit in that chair to read the pick off? Like he was like moving about his house, just casually running the NFL draft. It was really awkward. He also had like 3 outfit changes during the first day.
Yeah. Speaking of awkward, how about Jerry Jones drafting from a yacht?
That's Jerry. That's just Jerry Jones. Weird flex, Jerry, but okay.
Right. And not, he didn't want any influence on his picks. No influence from his staff, he said.
That's Jerry Jones. And I mean, we'll get into the Cowboys. Let's just pause this because we'll get into the Cowboys because I have a lot to say about them.
Let's get straight into this draft. All right, guys, real quick before we get into this draft stuff, I just want to remind you this episode is sponsored by Ladder. So make sure you guys check them out. It's a great product. They make proteins, hydration stuff. They make these awesome shakers. And Ladder is owned by Arnold Schwarzenegger, LeBron James. Just 2 amazing individuals. First of all, I love both those human beings. But the reason why they came together is they wanted to change the way that supplements are made. Like, they wanted quality supplements. So they got together, got a bunch of the best scientists in the world to come together because, I mean, these are two people who can do that. And so they brought these people together to make the highest quality products and just the safest ones, because you get a lot of impurities in some of these lesser products. These ones, you're not going to find that. In fact, they have a third party that tests their stuff for quality. So someone who does not work for their company to make sure that they give us, the customer, I say us because I am also a customer, the best quality product that you can. I'm excited to have them sponsor our show. I ordered a box from them. I wish it's downstairs. It came in awesome packaging. Like, it came in, it just looks amazing. Like, the whole thing is amazing. You know it's a quality product from the moment you receive it, before you even put it into your body. And then once you start using it, you're going to realize it immediately, because the results you see, you feel it. It's a great product. I couldn't be more happy to have them as a sponsor, because I actually use their product. They help you unlock the best in any situation. Just a fantastic product again, guys. And they have a promo code going on right now. You type in better every day, all one word, and you could get 30% off everything on their site. So, I mean, that's 1/3 off anything you're buying, basically. Great product. I highly recommend it. Make sure you guys check them out.
All right.
Yeah,
big thank you to Ladder.
Yes, we really appreciate you guys. With the sponsorship. You want to get into this draft though?
Yeah, so first pick, no big surprise here. I was hoping that we'd get something, big and surprising, some huge trade or whatever, but we didn't, right? It went as we expected, with Joe Burrow going number 1 overall to the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow is clearly the most NFL ready quarterback in the draft. I don't know if he's necessarily has the highest potential, right? I think he has great potential. I think he'll be good. But as in plug and play, let's go right now, it's probably Joe Burrow. Do you concur, Doctor?
I concur.
Right. My wife just broke something. I don't know if you guys heard that.
She really did not like the Joe Burrow pick.
She does not like the Joe Burrow pick. She is shattering plates. It's a minefield out there. I'm staying in this room. So I do want to just pump the brakes a little bit on the Joe Burrow hype. Not because I think that he is going to be bad or I'm seeing something that makes me very worried about Joe Burrow, but it's a lot more to do with, I think that his value for fantasy is going to not be very good. I think he's going to be valued very, very highly. He's going to be taken earlier in drafts than he needs to be, right? Yeah. It's still a quarterback.
Obviously, dynasty, different story. If you're in a rebuild phase, that may be a great target for you. Right. But if you're like shooting for a championship this year, 100% is still even there. I'm probably fading on him.
Right. Basically, people are hyping Joe Burrow to be like a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and I just don't want to go there. I don't want anything to do with that.
Every year after the draft, these players get drafted and they're better than the dudes who have been tearing up the NFL for their whole career in people's minds.
Right. There's a lot of people are comparing him to Tom Brady and stuff, and I just think that that's irresponsible, and frankly, it's just stupid. This kid is coming into his first year in the NFL, and I think he clearly has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
He's clearly, in my eyes, an upgrade to the most recent version of Andy Dalton that we've had. So this is good. I think it's good for the team all around, but let's not compare him to the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
And please. I think you may see it even more so this year with the lack of other live sports, because people are so hyper focused in on this is like the only live sporting event type of thing we have. So you may even see that more this year than normal.
Yeah. I do think this is an upgrade to all the pass catchers in Cincinnati. Whether it's a slight upgrade or a huge upgrade, we have yet to see. But I do think it's an upgrade. I'm not moving anybody down my board. Only up maybe slightly right now. I think that it's an upgrade to Joe Mixon just because I think that Joe Burrow will probably take some of the pressure off Joe Mixon to perform, whereas Andy Dalton wasn't taking pressure off anybody. So
He was taking a lot of pressure off the defense. They appreciated it.
the other team's defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other
Okay.
team.
Anything else to add about Joe Burrow? I feel like Joe Burrow's been preached and talked about for months
Yeah,
and months. So.
yeah. If you don't know anything about Joe Burrow by now, then I can't help you.
Okay, so the next fantasy relevant player to go off the board went at number 5 to the Dolphins. It's exactly where I thought Tua would land.
Yep.
I know that you brought up that maybe Justin Herbert might sneak up to 5.
Yeah, there were rumors of
There
it.
were rumors,
Yeah.
but Tua went at number 5. My view on Tua is that he has the highest potential ceiling, out of every quarterback drafted in this draft.
Yeah, for fantasy especially because of his mobility.
Right.
You're going to get more rushing out of him than you are a Herbert.
Right. The key though is he has to be healthy, and his college career has shown us that that's not a given for him in any way, shape, or form. Tua's injuries over his college career include broken finger, sprained right knee, a quad injury, 2 high ankle sprains, and a dislocated right hip, and a broken nose in there. So I know there are a lot of videos of Tua that have come out of him working out and looking very, very, very good. But that's in a very controlled environment where he knows exactly what he's going to be doing.
And he's not being hit.
Each time. And he's not being hit, right? And he's not being chased down by guys that are NFL defensive linemen, right? There's a difference between college defensive linemen and NFL defensive linemen. I just worry about Tua's health.
And it's about a 2-second 40.
Right. He needs to learn how to get that ball out of his hands quickly. He needs to learn how to go down without getting hit. He needs to learn how to throw the ball away. There's a lot of things that Tua needs to learn in order to be healthy, right? The things that he knows how to do already are be extremely mobile, get first downs on the ground, as well as throwing the ball. He has an incredible arm. This guy is super talented. He's super athletic, but if he's hurt, it doesn't matter. So
being super athletic on the sideline gets you 0 fantasy points.
Right. Miami this year has very little to play for, in my opinion. Therefore, Tua will probably see the field. I do think that it'll be a little later in the season. I think they want to be completely sure that he's healthy, completely sure that he's comfortable. They want to give him tons and tons of reps in practice because he is their future.
And they have a startable quarterback there already, so he won't be the first one taking that field. Like, there's no reason to risk his health. But I agree with you. You'll see him later, so he can get comfortable at that NFL speed.
Right. So when it comes to fantasy relevance for Tua specifically, I think dynasty leagues with deep benches, go ahead and stash him. I think that's totally fine. Just stash him.
I would love to have him as a dynasty stash.
Yeah. I don't think you should expect a whole lot this season. Don't expect him to come out and do a whole lot this season. If he does, great. That's just a bonus. You're happy.
I would say think Kyler Murray light, because he's not going to get it all the experience
best.
that Kyler did.
Well, no,
Kyler
got a full season.
That's what I'm saying though. Think about Kyler Murray's first 6 weeks.
Yeah,
he didn't do amazing, but that's like all you're going to get out of Tua this season is those first 6 weeks, because he won't start the full season.
Right. I think for all the pass catchers right now, looking at it this minute, it's not necessarily that big of an upgrade. Ryan Fitzpatrick, we all know, can throw that ball around. We know that. I think that Tua next year, right, he's got a full year under his belt. Assuming he stays healthy all year, he goes into next year 100% ready to rock. He is an upgrade, right? I think he's definitely an upgrade to Ryan Fitzpatrick. We can all agree that, because he's going to take so much pressure.
I would say Fitzpatrick is going to be the better of the two fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I agree. But, hey, man, Tua could be amazing. For sure. He just needs to stay healthy, and I hope he does. Let's move on to the next relevant guy, which was actually the next pick. That's Justin Herbert to the Chargers. Oh, man, I really wanted to say San Diego Chargers there.
No, I saw it. I really
wanted to the Los Angeles Chargers. Ugh.
You said because you just imagine their logo as you said it.
No, I imagine the Rams logo.
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah,
both of them. I don't like
there. I
either of them.
just LA does not know how to logo.
Yeah.
L2 logo. Justin Herbert. Honestly, I think that if you wanted a quarterback to start right now, it would be Joe Burrow and then Justin Herbert. Tua would move down for me if you wanted a quarterback to start right now for obvious reasons. I actually really like Justin Herbert. Super, super smart kid. Reminds me actually a lot of Phillip Rivers
Right.
in terms of his ability to learn an offense, read a defense. He makes great decisions. One thing I am a little worried about with Justin Herbert is he'll hold onto the ball a little longer than he needs to. He needs to get that ball out quickly. Uh,
Especially
but
with the offensive line they have there.
yeah, when it comes to fantasy upgrade, it's kind of hard to tell. It's a little bit weird. I don't know if he's going to start right away. They have Tyrod Taylor. I think Tyrod will probably start a few games, but I think Justin Herbert will start the majority of the season for the Chargers.
Yeah, I was talking about this with someone else. I was telling them with a lot of these guys, especially Justin Herbert, like you're gonna start the veteran when you have the veteran there. It's basically gonna be his job to lose, and so they're waiting for the point to cut because like they're already paying this person all this money, so they need to find out if it's worth paying them that money or if they need to get rid of them and commit to this rookie sooner. So
Yeah.
they're gonna start that veteran, and he'll get the start until he has some bad games, and then they're because it's like they're looking for an excuse to move to this rookie that they love because that's who they drafted. The
Right.
they didn't draft this guy; they just brought him in as a gap filler.
Right. Yeah, I do think Tyrod will play 3 to 5 games and then Justin Herbert will move in. I think that if Justin Herbert had to start today, he could do it. But I think he'll only benefit from waiting a little bit. He's great in the play action. He's great in the bootleg, which works really, really well with Austin Eckler. I think that Justin Herbert is really good for Austin Eckler, and the fact that they didn't take a running back also is very, very good for Austin Eckler.
Yes.
He is moving up my board significantly at this point.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier in the off season when we were saying like you got to pay attention to the landing spots of these rookies because it's going to tell you a lot about these teams and the opportunity for these players.
Yeah. There's lots and lots of talent around him. The Chargers, despite how poorly they did last season, are a very talented offense. So Justin Herbert could be fantasy relevant this season. He could be. I'm not quite as excited as I am Joe Burrow when it comes to fantasy relevance this season, but there are possibilities of Justin Herbert performing very, very well.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think this also good for the pass catchers on their team. I would rather have Herbert throwing the ball than T-Mobile.
yeah, yeah. Tyrod Taylor he's a very good player in the fact that he's not going to lose you a whole lot of games, right? But he's not going to win you a whole lot of games if you catch my drift.
Yeah, he likes the short, safe passes.
Yeah, he's going to do things right and not necessarily go out and take a win. He's going to, hey, this is the play. That's the safe move. I'm going to do the safe move. I'm going to make sure I don't turn this ball over. That's Tyrod Taylor, which is great if you have let's say you have a defense that's incredible that can carry a team to a championship. Tyrod Taylor might be really good, but the Chargers don't have that defense, unfortunately. So we have to take a big jump here.
The Chargers did do a lot in the draft on their defense. I do expect it to take a big step forward, but I don't have them as an elite defense.
No, not quite. Not quite. They could be, but I don't have them there either. We have to take a big jump forward here all the way to number 12. So a lot of people, when I first saw this pick, it was like the big first head scratcher for me. But a lot of people are disagreeing with me and thought that this guy should go right where he went.
No, I think like a lot of people say that post pick.
Yeah.
But pre-pick, nobody was saying that.
Yeah. So Henry Ruggs III goes at number 12 to the Raiders. So the reason that this was a head scratcher for me is because while Henry Ruggs is clearly he's talented, I think that he'll be a very good wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think that he was the best wide receiver in this draft. I think there were two wide receivers, in fact, that were better than him, who we'll talk about in just a moment. But Henry Ruggs, he's a speedster. He's very similar in play style to Tyreek Hill. Now, let me be clear, I'm not comparing him to Tyreek Hill as in like he'll be as good as. I'm just trying to use Tyreek Hill as an example. Right? No, you did not. In the fact that Tyreek Hill, his danger is, while yes, he can beat you deep. Of course, we know that. It's after the catch. Tyreek Hill will make people miss and he can do incredible things after the catch. And Henry Ruggs can do that, right? He's very similar. He'll beat you deep, but he can also catch that under route and just completely burn past people. I think that he'll be fantasy relevant, mostly because I don't really think there's another wide receiver on that team to really threaten him in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, he's instantly the wide receiver one there.
Right. Derek Carr is still Derek Carr. Remember that those are not the best quality passes being thrown unless Derek Carr takes, a few steps forward and returns to where he was 3 years ago. Henry Ruggs might suffer from that a little bit. When it comes to which of these rookie wide receivers I would want, Henry Ruggs is probably second to a guy that we'll talk about in just a moment. Actually, the next guy we'll talk about.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. He's probably a dude I will target in drafts, just depending on where he's at. I'm still doing my placements. Obviously, that's right after draft happens, so I don't quite have my projections and rankings updated.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a dude I like.
He'll have big days, guaranteed. He will have 2, 3, maybe even 3 touchdown days.
As we were talking, like, I agree with you. I don't think he's the most talented wide receiver in this draft, but I think that the most talented wide receiver in this draft, I think Ruggs will have a better fantasy stat line at the end of the year than him.
I agree. But I'm not sure if we agree on who the most talented wide receiver is. Well, maybe. Well, we'll find out. So the next guy that went off the board is Jerry Judy to Denver.
We don't agree.
Why? What?
Because you said that you thought the most talented guy was the next guy we're talking about. So
I'm
assuming Jerry.
So
Judy.
this is the guy that I don't think Jerry Judy is the most talented wide receiver in the draft.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
But he is who I would want fantasy wise over Henry Ruggs.
Yes, this is in the draft. That's my favorite wide receiver to get for fantasy.
And no, I'm not joking. I understand. I'm sitting here wearing a Broncos jersey, and I'm a huge Broncos fan. This was my favorite pick.
Yeah, we actually talked about this like after round one, and I agree with you. I'm not a Broncos fan, and I completely agree.
I was sitting watching the draft, and I wanted Jerry Judy or CD Lamb for Denver. I wanted one or the other. And when Ruggs went at 12, I was worried. I was happy because it wasn't one of those two, but then I was worried that it would start the run of wide receivers. But then Tampa and the Niners went with 2 different picks, which I was very happy with. So we got our pick of the 2. We got Jerry Judy. Jerry Judy is the best pure route runner in this NFL draft, easily. He and in my opinion, route running is the most important factor when it comes to transitioning from college to NFL. It's having a good route runner can negate negatives that are out of players' controls, like size, height, weight, that sort of thing. The ability to jump, whatever you want to say. If you're a good route runner, you can completely get past those things. Just ask Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's not the biggest guy, but he is one of the best wide receivers to ever play when it comes to pure fantasy output. Now, I don't think Jerry Judy is Antonio Brown, but Antonio Brown's greatest skill is his route running. So
throw Jerry Judy. That goes great with Drew Lock and their offense.
Right.
He's
young quarterback. Yeah, young quarterback. That the best thing you can do for a young quarterback is have wide receivers exactly where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. And that's what Jerry Judy can do. So I think this is good for Cortland Sutton. I don't think it hurts him. Denver took a wide receiver in the second round as well. We'll talk about him in our next episode, but I don't think this hurts Judy at all. I don't think it hurts Sutton at all. I think they have their 3 wide receivers now. I think Jerry Judy will be the number 2 wide receiver. A lot of people are really excited, being like, "Oh, he's the new number 1." No, Cortland Sutton's still the number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, come here, little guy.
Yeah, and he will still be very good. I still like Cortland Sutton. I think maybe the target count goes down just a little bit, but I also think that Cortland Sutton will take a step forward in his play. So I still think that Cortland Sutton will be very good next season. Drew Lock is moving up my board for sure. Justin, you've been saying it, and you told me I wasn't allowed to say it because you've been saying it.
Yeah, it's mine.
Denver's offense should be pretty good this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're going to be playoff contenders here. Obviously, they are competing with one of the best teams in the NFL, the defending Super Bowl champions. And I think that's what kind of why the Raiders and Broncos did go with what their picks. Both of them are trying to get a little bit younger and faster on offense to keep up with that offense. And I don't like what the Raiders did as much as I do with what the Broncos did. The Broncos, like you said, I think it's mutually beneficial for Sutton here because Sutton's drawing that number 1 coverage, and now you have Ruggs over there, or no, I'm sorry, not Ruggs, Judy over there, who now as a young growing wide receiver, he's going to be able to feast, get his going against these lesser cornerbacks of the other team. Just like we saw, I mean, again, as Perry said, not comparing these guys to the guys I'm about to name, but like we saw with Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster when they were on a team together.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think this is great for them and just beneficial for the team as a whole. I think it benefits everybody. And even Noah Fant, because I just think it's gonna be more offensive production, more touchdowns to be had at the end of the day. So,
yeah, I think the days of Denver having a very anemic offense are probably in the past. I think Denver, I don't think they're gonna have the best offense in the league this season or anything, but they could definitely be like top 10.
Yeah, the only I believe in him, but the only question mark here, I think at all, it is Drew Lock.
Absolutely.
Does he take that step forward, which I'm predicting him to? But if he doesn't, that's what's going to hold them back here.
Hey, I'll take a real cheap Cam Newton. Come on, just in case, right? Just in case. Okay, so let's move on to the next fantasy relevant player off the board. That was at number 17 to Dallas. And this, in my opinion, is the most talented wide receiver in this draft, CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is the most well-rounded wide receiver. I think Jerry Judy's situation is better, which is why I would want him over Ruggs. So I don't know if that makes any sense or everybody's just cross-eyed because they're so confused by me right now. But CeeDee Lamb is a very large threat after the catch. The main issue that I have here is the fact that they already had a clear number 1 and a clear number 2 wide receiver in Dallas. And I don't know how much room there is for CeeDee Lamb to go out and actually perform. I personally think that he was drafted just so they could keep him from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's a 2-part. I think, yes, they did not want Philadelphia to have him, but also I think it's just they didn't expect him to fall to them, and it was just like, this guy is clearly the most talented person on the board, so let's just take the best player available. And I think someone did bring up a good point that Amari Cooper has zero guaranteed money next year, after this year.
Yeah.
So maybe they plan to move Amari Cooper, move on from him to make money to
maybe.
Yeah.
I think they could have done that this year
to sign Dak. Yeah, absolutely. But again, I don't think they expected this to happen. I don't think this was something they were planning for.
I think clearly this is Jerry Jones sitting in his yacht saying, I don't want any help, and being like, ooh, Philly really needs a number one receiver, and we could take him from him. So that's what they did. I honestly think that was the main focus. Now, he's a very good player, right? You want good players on your team, clearly. Amari Cooper, there are question marks. You don't want to rely on him. You want to have something backed up. Sure. CeeDee Lamb is that guy. It just doesn't. I feel like there could have been a better pick here for Dallas.
Oh, I completely agree. But also fantasy wise, like you're saying, this dilutes their whole
Right.
receiving core to me. So I think everyone involved is hurt except Dak Prescott.
I personally actually I don't know. I guess yeah, it probably hurts them, but I don't know if it's quite as dramatic as it could be. I
No,
honestly think that CeeDee Lamb just isn't going to see as many opportunities. I think
I think it's
he'll
going to be a week to week basis because, I mean, that's
right.
already how Amari Cooper is, where some weeks he's putting up a bunch of points, some weeks he disappears. And now in those weeks where he disappears, those might be a CD Lamb week or,
I think Mike I think Michael Gallup
yeah, or
is going
I
to
think
take a
Michael
step
Gallup
forward.
is going to be the most consistent receiver on this team. He's going to be the wide receiver one week to week, like consistently. Sporadically, you'll have an Amari Cooper that shows out and is the best receiver, or even a CD Lamb. But yeah, I'm not depending on either one of those guys for fantasy.
Yeah, I hope that I'm wrong, but I feel like that CeeDee Lamb's talent is going to be a little bit wasted here in Dallas. But I hope that I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, he
Uh,
could sit there for 3 years and then go replace Larry Fitzgerald and reunite with Kyler Murray.
yeah. Okay, so the next guy we're talking about is actually he went to Philly at 21 overall. That's Jalen Reagor, wide receiver. They had to go wide receiver here. After CeeDee Lamb disappeared, I think that this was the next guy that they just had to go with. Um, I think either Judy or Lamb would have been preferred by Philly, but clearly that wasn't an option. So um, I think that he's probably the third wide receiver in terms of ready to roll fantasy value because of where he landed. Philadelphia clearly needed to bring in wide receivers, whether it be in free agency or in the draft. This is what they did. They went and got this guy in the draft, and he will be playing, he will be starting, he will be fantasy relevant because they just don't really have any other real options
Yeah.
on that team
They have
other than Zach Ertz.
Alshon Jeffrey, who is aging not that well.
Yeah, not graceful at the moment with the aging. I do think that Alshon Jeffrey will still have some fantasy value, but not nearly as hyped as I was on him last season. I think it'll be in deeper leagues, but I don't. I think Jalen is going to really take a step forward here and could end the season as the number one wide receiver on that team. Uh, he's a very good pass catcher. He's kind of a do-it-all kind of guy. I yeah, I would go Judy, Ruggs, and then Reagor when it comes to fantasy value out of these rookie wide receivers
And
in 2020.
yeah, and I gotta say, this makes me feel completely fine with getting a Zach Ertz as my tight end,
Mm-hmm.
even though they do have a tight end nipping at his heels. I feel like both of them could be sustainable because this isn't they don't have an elite wide receiver who's going to dominate.
Yeah, I also think that in terms of like playing 4D chess here, he will have an effect on Zach Ertz's perceived value. So while I agree with you, this isn't really going to hurt Ertz all that much, but I think it will hurt his perceived value going into drafts. People will move Ertz down, and you might be able to get him for a steal. So just keep telling people that yeah, this guy's totally going to hurt Ertz's value. Zach Ertz is, oh yeah, those days are gone, and then just grab him late, and you'll be really happy. Okay, so we've got four more guys to talk about here. The next one to the Vikings. I really like this pick a lot. Actually, it's another wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, uh, second best route runner in this draft, in my opinion. Stephon Diggs is gone, who was a very good route runner. This is like a plug and play, man. Like, send Diggs away. He's too expensive and too angry and too upset with the team. Let's go get Justin Jefferson, who's a rookie and cheap and pretty much the exact same player. At least he appears to be.
No, yeah, I love it. I think this was a good pick for them. They needed wide receiver, so
Yeah, it seems for me. It seems almost seamless. He should step right in, fill the role that Diggs was occupying. I don't think we're going to see quite the fantasy output that
yeah,
Diggs was giving us right away, but by the end of the season,
yeah. He's probably not a receiver I'm drafting, but I think this helps Adam Thielen.
I don't know if I would go as far to say I'm not drafting him. It just depends on the size of your league. I
I
don't
mean,
know
yeah,
if I'm going to
definitely.
start him right away. I would be happy with him being my like fourth wide receiver, just sitting there. I think at this point, right, we're still really early on. We want to see how OTAs play out, if they play out, preseason, that sort of thing. But I really, really like the landing spot for him. I think that he landed in a
Oh, for
really,
sure.
really good
Like I said, so I
situation.
think this is, but like I think Adam Thielen is the biggest beneficiary from this because like without Diggs there, there's been a lot of talk like, oh, is Adam Thielen going to be able to handle being the number one wide receiver without someone being able to stretch the field
Right? Yeah.
and open it up in the on the underneath routes for him? Well, we won't know that because he doesn't have to.
Yeah. I do still think that Thielen's going to have to take on a larger role,
Yeah,
right? I think that's obvious, but you're right.
he's got that
Justin
person to
Jefferson will
stretch the
draw some
field now.
coverage, right? It's only going to take, 1 week of Justin Jefferson blowing up because he's dealing with the, single target coverage, and it's going to be the number two guy covering him, and he gets two touchdowns and 120 yards because hey, it's easy. There's nobody really covering him. He has no coverage over the top, and then they're going to have to start covering more towards Justin Jefferson's side, and then Adam Thielen will open up. So if Adam Thielen starts out just a little bit slow and Jefferson's getting a lot, that's okay.
Don't panic.
Yeah, go grab Thielen on value trades because I think that by the end of the season, Thielen will definitely be the alpha dog on that team. Okay, and here's one for you, Justin. Number 25 overall, wide receiver to the Niners, Brandon Aiyuk. I
Cool.
what?
Cool. Like it's not something I'm super excited about,
You're not?
No, because we also have Jalen Hurd coming back from that we drafted last year that never played it down. So like, and then they brought in Kelvin Benjamin. Like they have a lot of depth, and like as in wide receiver, like he could possibly be the number two wide receiver in San Francisco, or number three wide receiver in San Francisco, where they want to win games by running the ball as much as possible. So, like, fantasy wise, no, I'm not super excited about it. It's cool, like, for their team, that it was a definite team need. But fantasy wise, he's not a guy I'm looking to grab really, unless it's super late in a draft to take a shot on. But like, I think that it's a team need. It's not a fantasy relevant thing for me.
Uh, okay. I guess I haven't really thought about it that way. I see his game as very similar to Debo Samuel's. I think they have a very similar game, as in they can beat you a multitude of ways. It's not just catching the ball, right? Debo isn't just a pass catcher, which right?
Yeah.
He runs the ball all the time, and he's very successful with it. And I guess I envision this like perfect world where they're both basically playing that same role, and they're just confusing the opposing team's defense with all these different,
No,
end
definitely.
round.
Like
Like
that's the
I
intent with I mean, their offense in general is to try and make it, try and. But again, they're going to be running the ball and doing it in a multitude of different ways, meaning one guy is not going to be the focus. So
right,
for fantasy purposes, that was kind of my point. Was with fantasy purposes, it's not great for you. For as a team need, it's great because it felt that gives you another weapon. But it's just another guy in the mix. It's kind of like with their running back core. Like, which running back are you going to grab? I don't know. I'm probably just going to avoid it because like there's so many of them that they're going to use. and like as the number two, or Debo obviously going to be their number one wide receiver, but then behind him, who do you want to grab? I don't know, because it's going to be just a variety pack of guys each week, and they have Kittle there, who is also demanding targets. So just that was kind of my point with the fantasy value. It's just so hard. It's to decide which one guy you would take a shot on.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's move on to the greatest pick I have ever seen in the first round of the NFL draft, as in terms of, wow, that was fun to watch. And that was the 26th pick overall to the Green Bay Packers, going quarterback in Jordan Love. Now, I just want to remind everybody that Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback for the Packers.
Oh, yeah, that guy is still there.
Received an extension.
That is also accurate.
So, what's the play here?
So, I've seen a bunch of people try and make sense of this. I don't like it. Don't make sense of it. There's no sense to be made of it. It was a bad move.
Rounds from now.
Or years from now.
Well, I feel like, okay, what they wanted to do was just like, okay, let's think about the future just a little bit. Aaron Rodgers isn't young, right? But the first round, your first pick in the draft.
Yeah, and this is my thing. Like, you look at these successful teams in the NFL. I mean, me and you have had many conversations about this. A great strategy in the NFL is to have a good team built around a quarterback on a rookie contract, because you're not paying him, since quarterbacks are the highest paid player on the team. So you can build around it and build a very successful team. Well, now you just brought in, a guy on the first round, which means you think that he is that talent level. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be sitting on your bench for the years. Entirety of his rookie contract. And then you're going to have to pay him a massive amount of money by the time that Aaron Rodgers is out of the league or off your team. And now you lost all that. You lost that time to build your team and win a Super Bowl. That's why I think it's such a horrible move. I saw someone saying that, like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers isn't, again, similar to the Amari Cooper thing, isn't guaranteed any money on his contract, so they could cut him. I'm like, first of all, you're not cutting Aaron Rodgers. That's just stupid.
That is
Second
just stupid.
Of all,
stop looking. Everybody needs to stop looking at Aaron Rodgers in terms of fantasy value when they're valuing his ability to play football.
Right? You could trade him, but like that's stupid too, because he is Aaron Rodgers. Like, you're going to give him to a team that's going to take home a Super Bowl with them. Yeah, and you're going to look real stupid. Yeah. I mean, like I said, this whole the Packers, like, they completely whiffed on this.
No offense to Jimmy Garoppolo, but if you put Aaron Rodgers on the 49ers last season, the Niners won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. Tom Brady, same thing, I would say. A lot of these, like, older quarterbacks that are still good. Yeah. But, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, definitely. Like,
he's still incredible. Just because he isn't the top 3 fantasy quarterback every season like he was in the past anymore, does not mean that he's not good anymore. He's very, very good NFL wise. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's efficient. And he wins games.
He did an interview right before this where they were asking him, like, what he wanted in the draft. He was like, oh, I don't know. He's like, they don't really consult me before the draft.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then he is like, but I would like to see them add some offensive weapons, like a skill player. It's been 15 years since we've drafted one in the first round.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we got you. How about a new quarterback?
Yeah. Wide receiver would have been great here. Wide receiver would have been great. Yes. Offensive line would have been great. Defensive line would have been great.
I thought for sure they needed to grab a wide receiver.
Yeah, no, they need one for sure. But, it could have been that they wanted Brandon Aiyuk and that they didn't get him, right? Because he went the pick before him. So then they just decided on Jordan Love. I don't know. That just doesn't make any sense to me. This pick doesn't make any sense at all. Shout out to Darian and Samuel, 2 friends of the show. Both of them have expressed how ridiculous this pick is, and they're huge fans of Green Bay. Like, both of them are so blown away by how bad this pick was.
I've gotten so many texts from, like, friends of mine at work that are like, why did this happen?
And and we'll get into round two, but the fact that they took a running back, which we'll cover in round two, just also is like the most bonehead decision
Yeah.
of the draft so far. Clearly, the worst draft, 2020 draft for any team so far has gone to the Packers. Okay, we got one more here. This one, I think you and I don't know. We'll see how I don't know if there's a disagreement or not. This pick didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Last pick of the draft to the Chiefs, they went running back. Clyde Edwards goes number 32 overall. Now, I think we both agree that the Chiefs probably needed to bring in another running back. I don't think they needed to put this much value in that second running back.
Like you're saying that, and like to me, it's surprising to me with your hatred for their running back or like all last offseason. So I thought you would be more of the proponent for this, which is funny because I am.
Here's the deal. I think there were better running backs available.
Oh, I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think this guy should have gone in the first round.
I thought they should have went Swift.
I also think that their play style, they don't need a number one running back. They don't need the guy. They can have a stable of guys and do just fine, which is why they could have gotten a guy 2 or 3 rounds from now, and probably just been just fine. I think Damian Williams plus 2 other guys would have done perfectly fine for them and been a lot cheaper in draft stock and in salary. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I just don't see the reason for this pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with that for sure. Like, they're a team that could just have a bunch of guys do what they do. But I think maybe, like, the receivers they were looking at probably weren't there that they would like to have to restock there.
I don't think they need it. I think they, like, what they need to do, and, I mean, okay, now we're talking about what I always get into, right? Not fantasy, but they just need to do what every other team needs to do is shore up the offensive line and create a defensive line that gets to the quarterback. No, and that's how you win games.
Yeah, defense and I mean secondary. Some defenses like to build from the back forward. There's different mindsets on the defense, but
the goal is still the same to get to the quarterback, right? If you have a lockdown secondary,
you create
defensive line will get there eventually.
Yeah, exactly, because you're given longer. The quarterback has to hold the ball longer, so same concept. Just and I agree with that, but I mean, at as much as like their defense did improve in the second half of the year, probably why they have a Super Bowl right now. But like I think in their ideal world, they win by scoring points. Like they're basically like the opposite, the polar opposite of the 49ers. 49ers want to, like stop the other team from scoring points, get turnovers, and, they'll score eventually. And they're the complete opposite. They're like, we don't care if you score. We're just going to score every time we touch the ball.
Yeah.
But I mean that they did shore up their defense. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying this because they are an NFL team and they're smart.
Fantasy wise, I still don't like Damian Williams, and this doesn't help at all.
No,
in me liking him.
I don't like any of them. I don't like either one of them.
I'm not touching a running back on this team. Period. It's just like the 49ers. I just can't do it. I don't know who it's going to be, except the Niners. I think they have better running backs. They have more talented running backs,
which is so crazy too, because like this is a first round pick. Yeah,
I'm still not touching them.
No.
And the Chiefs, I think, have worse running backs, and it's also going to be a mess back there deciding who it's going to be each week. So, still love Patrick Mahomes, no doubt there. I still think he's the number one quarterback in the league. I still love Tyreek Hill.
Now, I will say if I could get Edwards late, like very late, I may take a shot on him on a bench spot. Just for the fact that Damian Williams may not stay healthy.
And he's a rookie running back. Rookie running backs always seem to find value somewhere, somehow.
Yep. I mean, you look at the second-year running backs from, like, the rookies from last year, and there's a lot of them that are going very high in the draft this year. So it's just something because they did finish very strong last year.
And they're cheap.
Yeah.
Whereas... tried and true veteran running backs are expensive. So right on. Okay, that sums up the first round. I think it's been a fun draft so far.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's been
I,
less trading so far, at least in the first round, than normal.
I wonder
Which
if teams like are like at home and they're not getting like wrapped up in the like
the
the
moment,
draft
yeah.
or the moment. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just
So
like
I was thinking maybe it's because like I mean most of these guys aren't as tech savvy as maybe younger audiences are. So like they may be just too focused on let me just make sure I don't mess this up. Like let me just
the Packers were not focused on that.
well they have a young head coach. And I don't know what happened with that, but he definitely was. Yeah, he doesn't need to worry about messing up the tech portion. It's just the draft portion.
The team.
Yeah,
Yeah, just messing
the
up the team
locker
right
room.
now.
The locker room.
LaFleur.
Yeah. There's some great dodgeball memes out there
Oh,
right
there are some
now.
good ones. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we'll get back at you guys in a couple days here. We'll start covering the later rounds. Yeah, I think we're going to be ramping up content here a little bit. Lots to talk about, lots to speculate. Hopefully, we have a season. So
Yeah, it's looking more and more likely that we will, so that's exciting.
in some way, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if fans will be there, but
Yeah, in some
football will be
one
played.
way or another.
Yeah, which is cool with me. I don't
Yeah.
need fans there for fantasy. So
All right, we'll see you guys later this week.